Hi, good morning.
Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. How are things in Colorado?
Nice fall day today.
Oh, good. Beautiful out, I bet.
Yeah, we're one of the cities that gets like 360 days of sunlight a year.
Oh gosh, that's where I need to live.
So, you know the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? It's Always Sunny in Colorado Springs.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah,
where I need to be then. I have a friend that's same way. I'll have to tell her that Colorado Springs place to be.
yes. Yeah. And
Well,
where are you at?
I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and
Oh, very good.
it's pretty nice. I mean, we have good weather. We've had a lot more rain this year than we have in the past. So that's,
Sure.
yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
that's good. Yeah, my family's from Indiana, so
Oh, I'm from Indiana, actually. That's where I lived, grew up.
nice.
I was in Noblesville, Indiana.
I don't know that one. My dad's in Connorsville,
Okay.
um, and then my grandparents live north of Fort Wayne up by Kindleville.
Oh, yep. Know where
So
that
a
is.
lot
Yeah.
of villes in Indiana, I've noticed.
There are. Yes. Yes. I know that I don't ever want to live back there again because the gloomy winter months,
Mhm.
I can't do those at all.
Yeah, my
Not,
grandparents live at a lake, and every winter you can ice skate the lake. Which ice skating on a lake is not as fun as it may sound.
no,
So,
no. Yeah. Interesting. Well, fellow Hoosier.
yes, yeah,
What a coincidence.
yes.
Well, I teach marketing at CTU. I'm one of the lead faculty, so kind of in charge of the marketing program and the adjuncts that teach in that program. And then they put me in charge of our newsletter. So every
All right.
quarter we do a College of Business and Management newsletter that goes out to all the faculty. So I started I made it all digital and I did it in one of those flip books, and then you can put in links and videos. And so I started doing all these things. And Bruce Stetter, our dean, he's like, I really like those videos.
Oh,
So then he sent me a whole list of people that he wanted me to interview for the videos for in the newsletter, and you were
sure.
one of them.
Well, awesome. I love that.
So usually what I do is I'll ask questions and then it's just kind of off the cuff. You answer them. Then I'll edit the video. I'll send it to you. Some people like to watch them. Some people are like, you know what? We really don't care. Just put it in there. Um, so I'll edit it, send it to you, and it'll probably be today because I'm trying to put it together to get it sent out by tomorrow. But really kind of just wanted to talk to you about your role at the Pikes Peak business development, small business development, and kind of just an overview of where you see like the job market and kind of skills is different than knowledge. So, some of the things we're trying to incorporate into classes, what are some of the skills and knowledge areas that you see as being more relevant currently? And you may throw in there what role AI is doing or something like that. So we can just
Sure.
kind of play it by ear, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I'm going to I'll introduce you and then let you tell a little bit about your role. So, anyway, all right,
Okay.
let's get started. Thanks, Brandon. I'm here with Brandon Eldridge from the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Corporation. And our center is a corporation or
Center. Yep. Yep.
center. Okay. I'm going to let Brandon tell a little bit about his role with the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, as you mentioned, I run the Pikes Peak SBDC. So I'm in Colorado Springs, which is just south of Denver. We're actually rebranding. We're now the Colorado Small Business Development Center serving Pikes Peak. Because we have 14 centers across the state of Colorado, but there's actually about 1,000 SBDCs across the country. So no matter where you're at, there's likely an SBDC that serves your community, and it's helping businesses start, grow, and scale their businesses. And so I get the pleasure of working with entrepreneurs every single day, folks that think outside the box and come to us with really neat ideas. And they're just looking to maybe even grow something that would give them some independent wealth. So that's what I get to do every day. It's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. I think my colleagues know I'm an entrepreneur on the side. I have a coffee bar, and I think I worked with some folks at our Small Business Development Center in
Wonderful.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. So, really
Yeah.
good services. I do recommend that. Very helpful in guiding me to some resources and things that I wasn't familiar with. So,
Yeah,
cool.
the federal government funds most of the SBDCs through the SBA. So if you're familiar with the Small Business Administration, many times people interact with them when they're going to get a loan. And so the SBA will help back part of your loan for you. But they help fund these operations. And so I still have to raise money and I still have to go get matching funds and things like that. But that's why we have such a broad network and why we're so widely used and why we have kind of a consistent experience across the board, which is you come to the SBDC, you're probably going to take a few classes. You're almost definitely going to take advantage of our free one-on-one consulting. So you're going to meet with an advisor, talk about your business plan, maybe talk through marketing strategies, talk through some data analytics, or maybe just how to get access to capital. So we run a whole plethora of classes and workshops throughout the year. So
That is really incredible. And I know we have a lot of students that are interested in starting their own businesses. So, really helpful to understand that and how it works. We had a symposium just this week, in fact, featuring entrepreneurs talking about the entrepreneur's journey and some of the things that are critical to know and understand as an entrepreneur. So, that leads me into my next question. Tell me a little bit about your role and then how you see kind of the market for entrepreneurs out there.
yeah, so I'm the executive director here. So I do, I kind of wear all hats. I meet with clients and I talk about their business plan. I raise funds and I help write our grants. I work with a team here. I actually have 41 advisors on my team
Oh, wow.
currently, where we plug them into the entrepreneurs as they come to us. And so managing a team of folks that kind of work through all those moving parts. And just a lot of community engagement. So we have a lot of partners that we talk to in the community to make sure that, SBA, we don't really do a lot of marketing or advertising like through traditional channels. So you won't see a commercial for SBDC. But if you work with a chamber or a business resource group, they might talk about SBDC and the services we provide. And that's because I have to go out and find those relationships in the community. And so it's a lot of boots on the ground work, a lot of grassroots efforts. So,
And that's really cool to see. I mean, networking, even though we have a lot of online things that happen, good old-fashioned networking is still alive and well.
well, we're a very relational community here. And, I'm guessing every community says that. They're like, oh, well, we're a relational community too. But it is very much like that here. And so knowing a lot of stakeholders is important here, and because they're the ones helping promote, our upcoming events and workshops. We run some pretty big events, and we're only able to get people there because of our partnerships that we have. So like coming up here in November, we'll have a big veterans small business conference,
Oh, cool.
and we're expecting 400 people at that event. So, and that only happens because we have really great partners that serve veteran entrepreneurs. And so we work with all of them and make sure that they're very aware of events like that.
That's great. What a great resource. So, what are some of the things you're working specifically with small businesses and entrepreneurs? What are some of the needs or some of the things that you see there's skills and then there's knowledge. So if we're teaching future entrepreneurs, what are some of the skills and some of the knowledge, kind of two-part question that you see really necessary right now?
Sure. Well, one of the top reasons people come to us is because they need money.
Yeah.
And they're either going to a bank or a lender and they're going to be asking for a loan, or they're going to some sort of pool of VCs and they're going to be pitching or talking to somebody who's willing to invest in their business. And sometimes a VC could be simply your mom or dad. And so having a good idea of what your business is and having those deliverables is very important. So having a solid business plan is kind of the first step for us is, okay, let's evaluate what your mission and vision is. What is the product or service that you're selling and bringing to market? Who are you selling that market to? And so understanding some data analytics and having that marketing analysis. And then ultimately, what do you think you're going to make? And so building what we call a pro forma or projections or some sort of financial analysis that says, I think over the next 3 years, we can make this much money based off of this industry and the product and service that we're selling. So I think pro formas are foreign to most people. So understanding cash flow is a tough challenge. I also think that marketing can be a challenge for some folks, especially if you're one side of your brain or the other. I think marketing folks tend to think outside the box a little bit better. Not to say that you have to, but it certainly does help to be able to think creatively about your product or service. And then right now, with this rise of AI, I mean, we just had an AI summit this year, and we had 8 speakers throughout the day that just were blowing our minds on how people are prompting these tools and just the amount of tools out there. And I think that that's overwhelming right now to folks. It's like there's a lot of startup AI companies out there, and should I invest in Synthesia or should I invest in ChatGPT or where should I go with this? And then how should I be using those tools? It's very confusing, I think, to folks right now.
There is a lot. And so as I'm trying to teach AI into some of my marketing classes, just letting everybody know it's way more than Chat GPT. There are so
Sure.
many resources available. It can do more than write a paper for you. So I'm
It's
trying.
certainly helping clean up my email.
Yes.
Between Copilot and chat, I mean, I'm able to get through emails much faster than I could have in the past. And even yesterday, as I mentioned, I have a lot of stakeholders, and some of them are municipalities. And as I'm writing our proclamations for National Veteran Small Business Week, some of my municipalities are asking for that verbiage. And so what I did is I just took last year's, proclamation for National Veteran Small Business Week. I plugged it in. I said, go out and find some empirical data. Only cite it if you can, only put it in the proclamation if you can cite the reference and help build this year's proclamation. And, within 5 minutes, I was able to respond back. And so it's taking tasks that would have taken me maybe 30 minutes or an hour in the past and just
Yeah.
zooming it in here so that I can then move on with the rest of my day. And so I'm thinking entrepreneurial about that. The way I operate is how can I create efficiencies in what I'm doing and use these AI tools in a way that's not exposing my IP or putting me up in vulnerable spots, but rather just helping create streamlined workflows that every day I can get through my job a little bit faster and easier so I can focus on the things that are important to our business.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, your business, as you already talked about, is very relational and networking, and AI can't really do that for you, but it
Sure.
can handle those little administrative things that you just referenced that may be bogging you down. And now you have more time to do some of that critical networking and relationship building.
Sure. Well, you asked me 2 questions ago, like what do entrepreneurs need? Obviously, they need to know their business plan, they need to know cash flows, they need to know their market, and AI can fold into all of those things at some point. But then to that relational point, like when I'm writing emails and I'm using my chat, I've taught my chat when I want to use words like friend and colleague, and it does understand that about my style. And I love that about, teaching these models because then your personality can kind of seep through in some of these tools.
Which is, yes, incredibly helpful to add yourself into what it's already doing for you. I love that because everything is still, relationships matter. And I think as we look at skills for our students and knowledge, there are certain pieces we can teach them and then certain things that you can only go this far. You're going to still need to be out there building relationships and networking, particularly. I feel like I guess there are probably some small businesses that may not rely on that, but if you're customer facing, that's a really important skill is that relationship building.
Yeah, I mean, these are budget items now. I mean, people are having to evaluate, can I afford certain tools? You brought up a good point though about students, and I wanted to bring this up about AI and how it ultimately impacts job placement in the real world. Because as I'm working with entrepreneurs that are hiring people, they're asking me what skill set should I be looking for and how should I, build great company culture and things like that. And one of the things that we're finding is that because AI is getting so embedded into different workflows, it's not necessarily the end product that our entrepreneurs are looking for. I think understanding how to prompt an AI and which tools create really great efficiencies in some of those workflows, that's what our entrepreneurs are looking for. So when you're working with a student, and I don't know what policies CTU has these days on using AI, but knowing how to prompt is very important. Prompting AI can create the difference between a generic and stale product versus something that's authentically part of that business identity. And it all starts with the prompt and how to use it in the right way. And so if you're just plugging in information and then whatever output comes out of that and then submitting a paper. And I think what we found is that like C students might be like B students now, and B students are now A students. And so it does enhance certain qualities out of people. I like to think AI is kind of like the Captain America juice. Like Captain America was this really great, kind person. And when he got muscles, he was still a really great and kind person. So what AI is doing is it's taking lazy people and it's allowing them to be more lazy. And it's taking motivated people and allowing them to be more motivated. And it's taking smart people and making them even smarter. So I
I
think
like
everything
that
enhances
analogy.
Thank
That's
you.
a great one, Brandon. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, never thought of it like that, but yes, that is true. I said, I will give it to AI. The papers that I'm getting now are way better than they were just like a year ago.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't have to necessarily look at it from that writing standpoint, which I never really wanted to do anyway. I wanted more content and less, do they have the right punctuation? Now I can focus on kind of the things that matter when I'm looking through papers. But
100%.
yeah.
In Colorado Springs, we have 5 military installations, and you've heard me talk about our veteran community a couple times, but because of that, our aerospace and defense sector is really, really important to our economy here. In fact, aerospace and defense is tied to about 44% of our economy in this community.
Wow.
And so some of the small businesses I work with are doing a lot of cybersecurity. They're doing a lot of coding for satellites. They're doing a lot of government contract work where it's very technical and you have to have clearance. And one of the concerns that I've seen with the rise of AI is it's eliminating certain jobs like coders,
Yeah.
right? Like you can have an AI you prompt an AI and it can spit out a code that again, like we talk about creating efficiencies, would have taken a coder an hour to create, but it's doing it in 30 seconds. And so I think it's important that as we're teaching some of these young folks how to come into the workforce, how to align with some of these business needs, yeah, maybe coding is not exactly where it's at, but you're still going to need some really transferable skills on how to use the tools and fact check these prompts. So one of my concerns is if you're using a AI tool that maybe has some nefarious goals behind it, is the code that it's building somehow building in backdoors that are going to create problems for these software engineers down the line. So it's not going to be a lost skill, I don't think, but I do think we have to be very intentional about that space because a lot of businesses are just saying, I don't need to hire a full-time coder anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I read an article just, I think last week that some of the code, you still need that human element to check on things because some of the code that it's spitting out is not necessarily, like you said, completely accurate. You still need that human sort of backstop on it. And I think that goes to all uh, of the tool. You still have to have that fundamental understanding of the discipline. So for my marketing students, yeah, they can ask AI to do a bunch of things, but they still need to know marketing in order to know what they're asking
Sure.
of the AI. What are you asking it to do? You know, how is this all flowing together? Are you still relating to the customer? Are you still, you have to understand the principles of any of the business disciplines in order to be able to ask, use the prompts, what it is you're wanting from it. So,
Yeah. What I'm also finding with entrepreneurs, because if you're looking at job placement and you're saying, okay, I need to fill these jobs, maybe I don't need a full-time coder anymore, but I do need somebody who can code, but I also need somebody who can automate some processes and knows how to prompt your AI. So you were just talking about like that prompting skill. It's really important because I might be starting a new, cybersecurity company and I'm looking for somebody that's going to automate some workflows, maybe create an AI agent that's going to go out and do some market research and report back every morning. And then I also need somebody who's gonna um, help with the intake flow and create automation that doesn't even have anything to do with AI, right? Like automation's been around for years. We don't need AI to do automation. And so you might need somebody that's multifaceted in skills, whereas before you could have hired somebody just knows coding and been just fine with that. So I think this is what AI is doing is it's enhancing what we need our workforce to know, which is be cross-trained in different categories because you might be asked in the labor force to do multiple things.
well, and certainly for small business, you know, they always say small business owners wear all the hats.
I I do this exercise. I really like this book called The E-Myth. And in that book, and so I do this with my entrepreneurs, especially when they're solopreneurs or I like to call them gigapreneurs. It's a side gig, so it's a
Yeah.
gig. So what I do is on my whiteboard in my office here is I'll write CEO, and then I'll write all of the jobs that they hope one day will be filled, and then write their name next to all of those jobs. And
Yes.
then the reality is like it's a one-man operation that could probably be ran by, a 12-person team, but they're doing all of those jobs. And so then you have to evaluate what's the hierarchy of which jobs do I want to hire first, and will it be a hybrid of these two positions while I do a hybrid of these two positions until we can hire more? So yeah, you're absolutely right. Small business has to be very efficient with their work, very efficient with their talent, and be very intentional with that time. And I think that's why AI gets so infused into this conversation because we're looking for efficiencies.
Yeah,
Um,
certainly.
so I don't know. It's scary for some folks, and I know that when you're looking at the labor market, you're going, is this going to eliminate jobs? I think it will, but I also think that humans tend to be very resilient, and we tend to repurpose what we do. So I don't know any blacksmiths anymore. I don't know anybody shoeing
Yeah.
horses. But that used to be something that, was more
I do
prevalent.
know a horseshoer if
Hey,
that
there you go.
helps.
I'm a city boy, so I don't spend too much time on the farm anymore,
I
but
only know one though.
see, so I think the reality is folks that would have been in certain lines of work,
Yeah,
take a teller at a bank, for example. That
yeah,
is slowly getting repurposed into becoming a banker. A teller isn't just a teller anymore at the bank. They also can open in a bank account for you, and they can also service your debit cards. 10 years ago, the tellers only knew how to do your transactions and make payments on your credit card, and that was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
You'll appreciate this. So when I first started my coffee bar, my children were small, and we pulled up one day after I picked them up from school, and my son's he said, "Oh, I'm so glad we're here." And I said, "Why? What are you wanting to do?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to walk in like I own the place." And so I handed him, I had actually gone there to do some cleaning, and I had like the toilet bowl cleaner and the toilet brush. And I handed it to him and I said, "Well, then here you go." And he said,
yes,
"What's this?" And I said, "That's what the owner does."
that's right.
So if
That's
you're going to
right.
walk in like you own the place, go do what the owner does and make sure everything's clean.
I love that because you're teaching him how to be humble and a little bit of humility in the fact that, yeah, you may own the place, but you also have to clean the place and you also have to pay the bills and you also, and it
It
goes on
ends
from
with
there.
you, you know?
Yes, yes. So I
Yeah.
love that. Good job.
So, well, I don't know. He's still developing, so we'll see if it had any part in creating a good character when we I get him finished.
I love it. I love
He's
it.
still in process. He's still a work in process. But um, any last thoughts? I guess I have one question for you, and I don't know if you kind of know the answer, but just kind of ballpark, how many new small businesses do you have popping up, coming through kind of your shop in a year's time on an annual basis?
Yeah, this is a nuanced answer, and I can tell you I've gone to ChatGPT so many times, and it's always a moving target
Yeah.
because while you can register a business on a Secretary of State, and that's generally public information, it's really hard to know how many businesses are actively in operating. And then you might have a business close, but they didn't actually close it on the Secretary of State. So
Right.
the numbers are always a moving target. My office last year, we had about 45 people say that we helped them start their
Oh,
business,
good.
but I
Cool.
served over 700 clients with at least 3 hours of free consultations.
Wow.
And so that's why I have to have 40 advisors on our team because
Yeah.
we have a tremendous amount of clients coming through the door. And so SBDCs on average are serving anywhere from 500 to 1,500 clients a year. We try and carve that out so that geographically no one center takes on too much. And so you figure there's 1,000 SBDCs across the country. And that's just the businesses that know about us and want to
Right.
seek our help. Um, but I think it is important that people know about us early on. That's when they have the least amount of resources. And so it's important that people know SBDC exists. The last thing I want to hear is, man, I wish I had heard about you guys 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I guess I get less concerned about seeing businesses close than others might, which might seem ironic. To me, it's just the natural state of business. You're going to have businesses open, you're going to have them close.
Hmm.
And oftentimes people start a business truly as a side gig, and they're using that as a job. It's not a business, it's a job. It's helping create income for your family. And you might end up using that job as on your resume. And then you get to launch into a different career path because you started your own business, you were working in a certain field. You can then take that experience and contribute to a larger firm or organization. There's nothing wrong with that. So I
Yeah.
don't get hung up on how many businesses close each year. That doesn't concern me. It's the businesses that want to scale, that want to create legacy, that want to eventually merge or even sell to another owner. That's the businesses that come to us that I really want to invest in and that we're really committed to seeing them succeed. So I don't know if that answers your question,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
our
certainly
work is
does.
very nuanced here. It's all over the board.
Well, and I forget the statistic, and you might know it off your head, but the amount of businesses in the US economy that are technically small businesses? Isn't it like 80% or something?
So actually, it's more like
Okay.
99%. So because the SBA defines small business as less than 500 employees,
Okay,
it's
got it.
it's actually somewhere between 99 and 100%. So it's a huge amount of business in the now, to be fair, it's around 50% of the workforce that works in small business. So big business does employ a lot of folks. But in terms of count, yeah, small business contributes a little over 99% of all business in the United States. And that's the beauty of our system in the United States is the SBA supports that. And we want to see that. And then, when we look at government contracting, a large amount comes from US based small businesses, which is great.
Yeah,
So
that is great. Well, I love it. Like I said, I know I use my local SBDC, and I know you guys are doing great work. So thank you so much, Brandon, because I know we do have a strong entrepreneurial spirit at Colorado Tech. We have a lot of students that are really interested in starting their own businesses. And we try to do a lot within our classes on helping them and helping them to understand resources and things like that. So this will be really beneficial. Thanks so much for your time. It's been great talking with you.
you're so welcome. Can I just give one little plug at the end here?
Absolutely.
So, SBDC, VBOC, which is Veteran Business Outreach Centers, SCORE, and Women Resource Partners. We're all in the family of SBA resource partners across the United States. So, no matter where you are, if you have a small business or an entrepreneur that you're working with, I highly encourage you to seek out one of those four resources. SBDC, we're the largest network, but we're not the only network. And so I want to make sure people know that. And just know that the free one-on-one consulting that we do, it's about building a business plan, creating capital for your business, and really just helping us create sustainable economic growth for each of our communities. And I just love the work that we get to do every day. I appreciate what you guys do at CTU. I'm a proud alumni, and I'm just so happy to be part of this network. So thank you.
Well, great. Thanks again so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good afternoon and a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I will clip this and then I'll send it to you here in just a short time because I'm gonna put it in the newsletter and get it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow, if not later tonight. So
Okay.
thanks again, Brandon. Really great to meet you.
You as well. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.